Hello everybody, this is Amir Alwani from PotentNews.com. Welcome to me talking about some astrology and relating it to what's happening on the ground in current events, hopefully. And I'm also available for tarot readings. That's tarot readings and astrology or natal readings. Hit me up on here or the email at PotentNews.com. Or the contact form there for to coordinate that. So, and I'm also going to give this disclaimer right now for the rest of the stuff in this video. This is not health advice or legal advice or financial advice. For anything like that, go to a professional. And this is just my opinion of the trajectory of events, so I could be wrong, so any decisions you guys make are karmically on you. I'm just going to be trying to look at, the general patterns that I'm seeing here and where it's all moving. But yeah, so with all that out of the way, we are in the 12th of February right now. And this stuff with the Freedom Convoy is moving really fast, very, very fast. Got started on the 29th. Some people got there early on the 28th, whatever. Very significant number, that 29 is the anaretic degree. There was a huge protest that I participated in 2020. I believe that was August 29th of 2020, where there was supposedly 30,000 people. I thought it looked more like 10,000, but that was happening in the capital here, and you can see the pictures of that I have on Instagram here. But hold on a second. I'm just trying to find in my notes here about if that actually was the date. Hold on a second. Yes, August 29th. Okay, so that was not just me here in Ottawa in mid-2020, but I don't know if that's mid, but but also in the UK, there was 30,000 people that protested the same day, and in Berlin there was many thousands of people the same day. I could literally talk for an hour or two about this number, about this 29. We don't want to do that right now. I will relate it a bit to what's happening because, like I said, that is the kickoff date, I think, for those truckers. They wanted to start it off on the 29th. And basically, so, I mean, some people, and it's 5:29 a.m. right now anyway, as I record this. So anyways, I might have touched upon that number 29 in episode 2 of Amir's Gematria Adventures. It's very likely, I'm not sure, but essentially it is very interesting that the truckers chose that number. And, in the past, I might have been more like, hey, why are you choosing it on that date? Why don't you have it on a different date? But after all the other alignments I've seen with this number pertaining to this whole entire thing ever since 2020, it's kind of like it is what it is, and in many ways I kind of feel like it couldn't be on any other date, given how much this number seems to sync up with everything that I've seen pertaining to the Age of Aquarius and entry into Age of Aquarius. So I'll get back into that. But first, just talking about the it's already 5 minutes. We haven't even gotten into any astrology. But okay, I'm going to try to go quicker here. Um, Hold on a sec. I gotta hit this since we're already going at it at this speed here. Let's get back down to Earth in this way. Let's smoke some Earth. So, real simply though, just before we get back into before we get to the on the ground stuff, and we get into the astrology back afterwards, I'll say 2 plus 9 is 11. So that's the 11th house, and that is the house that's connected to Aquarius, and so that's one reason why so many of these situations have that kind of number stamped on them. So don't want to lose my throat chakra, so I'm going to bite my tongue for now about this. All right, so let me just pull up my notes here for around the 1st. The 1st of the month, February 1st. Okay, so there was an Aquarius stellium at that point. It was a new moon. It was on a Tuesday. Okay, so I guess we're getting into the astrology already. No, let's not do. Hold on a sec. I'm being a bit ADD on this right now, but essentially, since we said I wanted to look at that 29th date. So the other thing that was interesting about that number was that was when Venus went direct. And we just said 2 plus 9 is 11. Well, guess what? Venus went direct in Capricorn on the 11th degree. And guess what? It was coinciding with the moon in Sagittarius being on the 29th degree as well. 29th degree, 45 minute. So that was when there was more clarity surrounding money and love situations. And so yeah, that moon entered the 29th degree that same day. Now the Venus went direct 3:46 Eastern, January 22nd. And this is going to get too Virgo-ish already, like with the specifics. But if you stick with me, it'll make sense, hopefully. So, yeah, like here's the thing, like the okay, no, hold on. Right. So that okay. It's been a long week, but basically, the moon entered that 29th degree of Sagittarius on January 29th at 2:32 a.m. So the moon gets into a different sign every 3 days. So every 3 days, you're gonna have 1 or 2 hours of like 29-degree bullshit from the moon. This particular time, it happened 2:32 a.m. January 29th, and then at 3:46 a.m. Eastern. Very shortly after that, Venus went direct in the 11th degree, as we said. So that you got that 2 plus 9 is 11, and is happening on the 29th. This Venus direct, and also the moon was in Sagittarius on the 29th degree at that time. So Basically, what that means is like shitty decision making with respect to intuition, or shitty intuition with respect to Sagittarius stuff. So you might be wondering, why am I saying this about like the 29th? We're already the 12th right now. Well, I mean, you'll see why. So, and you know, one thing I should say too, the moon entered Capricorn at 4:09 a.m. that same day. So what you had was, if you look at the circular graphic ephemeris charts for February, or let's say, for January, you know, we had a good chunk of the first half of January. Mercury was in Aquarius, and we had the Sun in Capricorn while Pluto and Venus were in Capricorn, but really it feels like it was more, or okay, I don't know if I should say it that way. Basically, at the end of January, you had the Pluto, which was in Capricorn all month, and probably before that, was in Capricorn, plus Mercury, plus the Moon, plus Venus, plus Mars. So a shitload of Capricorn energy right at the end of the month. And, you know, if you guys follow Dolo, the Pilot Man, on YouTube, he says, you know, like when you have a lot of planets in one area, it's harder to do that thing. And here it's going to be Capricorn, so it's going to be harder to do the Capricorn thing. But at the same time, I think, like, you know, also a lot of power found there if you do it the right way. If there's a certain mastery of what's happening here, and that word mastery is having the same numerical value as. Okay, no, I'm not going to say that one, but it is what the energetic degree can be about. So it's about, like, when you're at the end of the last degree of a sign, did you master that sign's stuff, that sign's lessons? That sign, do you know how to use all the tools in your toolbox pertaining to that sign? So if you do, then good on you, and that's difficult to do because not everyone could do that because most people are broken. But if you are not as broken, then you can get to a level of mastery. And the word mastery equals 29 in the full reduction cipher, also in gematria. So there's a little bit of gematria tidbit. But long story short, we had this Capricorn stellium at the end of January 22nd, and I mean at the end of January 2022, and so that's like an overload of Capricorn energy. And guess what? Justin Trudeau is a Capricorn. So I was looking at, you know, this whole thing in around like mid-January when I first started to hear about the truckers doing this thing. And I was, at first, my first thought was just like worried about the food supply and stuff like that. And then it seemed like that was not as much of a concern. I mean, when it actually happened, but I was asking my pendulum like mid-January, like, is this going to be a thing that's going to, you know, cause problems and have food not be on the shelves and shit like that? And the feeling I got was more of a positive feeling. I got a no for the answers from my higher self via the pendulum, but and basically I got a feeling that with all this Capricorn energy, since a lot of people are at their boiling point, which I think the word boiling point also matches the word energetic degree. Yes, it does. And the word evaporation. And that word, I think that the reason the word evaporation is tied here is because we're going from age of Pisces, which is water, to age of Aquarius, which is air. So I think about water going up into the air when, and so yeah, it's like basically the end of a cycle. So, and it would be going backwards from the 0 degree of Pisces to like the 29th degree of Aquarius. So, and again, I'm already saying too much, right? We haven't gotten into too much of the astrology, but I did want to mention that little tidbit about that 29, just based on the fact that that's the kickoff date for this Freedom Convoy, and also I think people are at their boiling point for in terms of whether this is actually the second phase of this whole thing. I think like I have an old friend, Misaki, who I'm not in contact with anymore, but he had a video recently where he was talking about how 2022 might be the second phase of the whole Corona thing. And what I'm seeing with the numbers is kind of corroborating that. You have the word mandatory vaccination equals the 244, just like the word 2022 equals 244 if you wrote out TWENTY, TWENTY, and TWO. In the ALW Kabbalah cipher, those would match. But then also in the regular cipher, English ordinal, for Jamaica, you have the word mandatory vaccination equals 222. So, and then you have in the full reduction cipher, 2022 equals 70, just like in the reverse full reduction. Hold on a second. Let me make a correction here. In the reverse full reduction cipher, there's a direct match from the word 2022 and the word coronavirus. Okay, so that's why the year 2022 is I think going to be kind of a time when it's going to be a harder than ever push for mandatory vaccination in some way, shape, or form. But I'm not too concerned for around here. I don't know, other places around the world might be different, but for where I am, I'm not too concerned about that. There's, and you know, the other thing is the whole thing about Venus here. Like we have, hold on a sec. So, let me just look at my notes here real quick. All right. I know this presentation's been a bit ADD. I apologize for that. But okay, so what? Hold on a second. I think I lost my train of thought now. I gotta hit this again. God damn it. What I'm trying to say is, you know, as my old friend Masaki, who I haven't spoken with in a while, as he, I was saying, he put out a video, I think, also talking about the number 5 year for last year in 2021, but also talking about the 2022 being linked to Venus. And so with the Chaldean numerology, Venus is linked to the number 6, and 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. So you have that being the flavor of the year for 2022 is this Venus energy. And, I was born on the 6th. So that question of values, which is Taurus, and balance, which is Libra, like, am I getting out? Am I getting back what I put out? That's been a question, I've had to struggle with my whole life in a way. And by the way, yeah, my north node is on Taurus, and my south node in my chart, in my natal chart, is Scorpio. So my whole life also, I've kind of been going through what everybody here now, since January 18th, when the Earth's true node shifted into Taurus, is going through for 18 months. They're going to have to ask, can I make my own resources as Taurus, and do I know my own values? And I think Laura Matsu was saying in a podcast, in I think the Cosmic Matrix podcast, I think it's called, that if you can't do that part, the Taurus part, then you're gonna maybe the South Node would be Scorpio, and that might be, I don't want to say if this is the way she said it, but that you might be more prone to doing the negative Scorpio traits if you don't master the positive traits of the Taurus. Now, and you'll notice some of with the whole trucker thing, a truck kind of looks like a giant bull anyway. And when they're doing the slow roll thing, you think about like that slow and steady wins the race kind of thing. And these truckers doing the slow roll, it's interesting stuff unfolding. And so yeah, the tone of the year being the number 6 year, the truckers themselves saying, that it's a now or never kind of thing. That's really the tone of it. Everyone's sick of the shit. Everyone's sick of being told, okay, 2 weeks, right? And then that turns into 2 years, and it's like, why should we wait more? That's something a lot of people have been saying. So, when I heard them saying the now or never thing, I was like, yeah, well, this is really just confirming everything I'm seeing with the numbers, with the word 2022 massing mandatory vaccination. Even though the way the discussion is being framed by the truckers is this is not about vaccination and whether those are good or bad and blah 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 blah. Like, you know what I mean. So let me hit this right now. So it is a now or never type of thing. Justin Trudeau is a Capricorn. There was a Capricorn stellium, and it still is. It's been a while. This has been happening. That means a lot of planets in Capricorn. I don't know if I just said this because I just smoked so much weed, but Justin Trudeau is a Capricorn, like I said earlier for sure. People have had enough. If a stellium of Capricorn means too much Capricorn energy, well, we had enough. And you know what? There's so much I want to say here about the end of a cycle and all the instances of number 9 and even relating that to some new politicians on the scene and things of that nature. But we can't, I don't want to be too all over the place, and I do want to get to some of the astrological alignments soon. So let me take another hit and then see if I can get back on track here. What is that? So, and I should say, I went there on the 1st. I went downtown on the 1st. It was like around the evening or 10 p.m. or something like that. But I still went there. And this was before the injunction of where the truckers were told to stop honking their horns. So I heard them honking. You can see that on my Instagram. And I did not see any Nazi flags when I was down there. At least I'm pretty sure. Like, I mean, I saw a lot of things. I did not. Because I think I had already known that the mainstream media was. Or I can't remember when they started to do that. I don't know if I already knew if they started to do that narrative or not. Where it's about the Nazi flag and one Nazi flag out of 50,000 truckers or how many ever thousands of people that were there. You know, the whole thing is anyway. It's ridiculous to paint the whole thing as racist when anyone who was walking there would see otherwise. You know, if you want to just believe the mainstream media about this, fine. But, you know, people got to do their due diligence and give the benefit of the doubt. I mean, and that's the other thing about this whole thing is, look, like, back in the Occupy Nova Scotia, Occupy Wall Street days and whatnot, I would be caring more about like whether, you know, digging at every single person who's leading the movement and being like who's corrupt and who's not, or who might be, you know, if not straight up corrupt, then on some sort of thing, like some sort of synthetic thing. Or having the movement be somewhat synthetic or co-opted or whatever. But that's the thing about this number 6 year is you know, like Laura Matsu was saying, you know, you don't want to go around just like trying to red pill everybody. But the fortunate thing is people don't really need to be red pilled this much now, because with that number 6, it's you know, the number 1 is birth, and number 9 is death in a way, because 10 is just 1 plus 0, which is 1. So 5 is the middle number. So that's like the most physical number. So with 2021, we were tested physically, but 2022 is a time of relief. It's a time when things get more spiritual, where you don't have to do as much explaining. And although it has like a revolutionary feel and stuff like that right now, and although it is a sort of now or never moment, like Laura Matsu was saying, sometimes the best way to wake people up is just to exist and just to be awake yourself. And sometimes you have to, you know, wonder how much, what part of me is trying to wake this person up. Like, you know, does it matter, or am I trying to get in the way of their karma or something like that? So there's a lot of things going on. But in terms of, let's say, the Mars, and we're talking about Venus, right? Because I'm talking about Capricorn, this Capricorn stellium. I'm talking about Venus went direct in Capricorn on January 29th. And then you know, hold on a sec. So, and then you had that Capricorn stellium on the new moon, right, like really shortly after that, amid the Aquarius stellium also. And that moon entered Aquarius's critical degree of 21 that same day at 3:01 p.m. to 6:19 p.m. And the new moon itself that day happened on 12:45 a.m. So this was also on a Tuesday. So this thing about like, and you gotta remember, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So So you gotta understand, if Tuesday is by default connected to Capricorn, people say it's connected to Capricorn by default. Uh, so this happened on a Tuesday, which is Mars. This happened. This new moon in Aquarius happened on the first of the month, and it's a new moon, right? So that the new beginnings in terms of the numerology, because it's the first of the month. New beginnings because it's a new moon, and also this moon being part of Aquarius stellium, which is all about freedom. People's minds were more on freedom, and with also the 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 Mars with the Capricorn stellium also, which is resonating with that Mars. So a lot of things seem to be like happening at that time. Okay, let me hit this again. I didn't put enough weed in this thing, so you can do something, do it right, you know. Like, all right. All right, so let me just recap this, okay? Just to give you the full breadth of the thing. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets in Capricorn. Thanks to at the end of January, thanks to that Mercury retrograde bringing our thoughts and our communication and words away from freedom and back into practicality, which is Capricorn. So it's like we had a taste, like, oh, we got some freedom, and this was also at a time when I think right at the start of the month, it's hard to tell from this graph, but it looks like this particular graph, like Jupiter was going from Aquarius to Pisces at really shortly after January 1st. In fact, let me see if I have anything on that in my notes. Jupiter Pisces. Yes, December 28th is when Jupiter entered Pisces, all right? So at 11:10 p.m., so like a minute before 11:11, or it must have been approximately that. Don't quote me on it. It could have been a few seconds before, or after, or whatever. But anyway, so you know, so all of January basically Jupiter was in Pisces, and that's your hope and optimism is Jupiter, and Pisces is either illusions or compassion and fantasy and stuff like that, and intuition. So where we started to get our hope from, instead of getting a consensus, getting our hope from doing compassion and stuff like that. And you know, people had more sob stories, and you'd see people crying a bit too much and stuff like that. I mean, I was on this streaming app. I'm trying to wean myself off of that. The POF streaming app thing, but you know, I saw people on that app that were kind of milking their sob stories and shit like that. You could tell that, you know, and I know I sound cold-hearted by even saying this, but whatever, man, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Like, this is what I'm saying, like, Pisces could be victim complex sometimes, and you know, you don't want to get your hope and optimism too much from compassion, because you'll take too much pain and then you'll get sick. Like, simple as that. Like, so, you know, but that Jupiter entering Pisces was kind of a welcome bit of into the emotion world and stuff like that, and it did give us a different kind of hope. And I don't know when these truckers decided to do their thing, but it seems like that hope is largely coming from that Jupiter stuff. So let me see if and by the way, in terms of Uranus energies, you know, you had Uranus went direct also the same exact day that the true node went to went from Gemini to Taurus on January 18th. So that's a thing, and it's relevant that that was on the 18th. I could talk for like, you know, half an hour about that. It was on January 18th, and this is a 218-day cycle that will end August 24th, 2022, when Taurus is in the 18th degree. Okay, so you got even more of an 18 there, right? We're just scratching the surface of this 18 stuff. I gotta bite my lip, gotta bite my tongue. Or maybe not bite my lip, isn't it? Fucking lip. Bite my tongue. Okay, so no, let's get back on track here. So we have, but it's relevant that that Jupiter hope, you know, might have had something to do with the truckers getting motivated and stuff like that. And what else you had? When Mars entered Capricorn, that was January 22nd. That's a good number, the 24. Okay, and even that 24, 2 plus 4 is 6, right? That's 2022, that's the 6 again. And we talk about, and I don't know if I'm on track with what I wanted to say here again, but I should say that also, if you look at the retrograde calendar for the annual retrogradity, you'll find that in terms of Mars, which we were just talking about, when we said, hold on, computer freezing up. Oh, wait. Yeah, when we said Mars entered Capricorn January 24th, well, Mars was, at the start of the year, Mars was retrograde, or Mars was not retrograde, rather, and Venus was. So like I said, Venus stopped going retrograde pretty much the same day, the January 29th, the same day that these truckers had that start date for arriving to Ottawa. And they're out there saying it's now or never kind of situation, and, you know, like, give us our rights back now kind of thing. And you have Mars, the coast is clear for Mars all year until November, December. So that is a little bit why I think in terms of the fighting spirit right now, everything is, you know, like Heather Eland was saying, there's a window now where all the planets are not retrograde. So there's a window there, and the thing is, with the fact that it's a number 6 year, which is connected to Venus through the numerology, which gives a Venus tone to the whole year. You have also Venus is, the coast is clear for Venus the whole year, so whatever introspection we just had about love and money matters, which should have been mostly done by January 29th, we can apply that for the whole rest of the year, you know, especially since a lot of this was about Capricorn. It was Venus in Capricorn, and we still have that be the case. Right now, Mars is in Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn, and Pluto still in Capricorn. So basically, in terms of the fighting stuff, which is Mars, that's or the passion stuff. It doesn't have to be fighting. It could be just being passionate. That is people can combine that with the long-term views of having a clarity with Jupiter, which is your hope and wisdom and experience, and having clarity with Saturn, which is your order and structure, clarity with Uranus, which is stuff you should be awakened to, and to get like downloads and innovative stuff happening, and to get like true freedom on a societal scale. And Neptune, which is your fantasy and your dream world, all of that is, the coast is clear with that. And Pluto, your transformation, your power and control issues, that's all, the coast is clear with all of that. With that, and with Mercury is on and off. I don't really count Mercury through any of this, but I mean, if you compare this calendar to 2021, right? So you had 2021, the coast was clear with Venus and Mars right at the start of the year, but then right at the end of the year, Venus was, you had that hiccup. But you still had a similar window in 2021 in terms of how much of clarity for the first few months there. But it looks like that's more near the end of February to the end of April, whereas for 2022, that's going from the February 3rd, I believe it was, till the end of April. So significantly more time, and so long story short, although in 2021 we had no retrograde at all for Mars the whole year, so our fighting stuff, our style of fighting, and our ability to draw lines in the sand without thinking too much about it and giving a fuck what the other person thinks, that was all good and will continue to be good. But that can only happen so much, and like I said, that's November, December, that's going to run out, and that'll be after the whole, a bunch of other, of most of the planets becoming retrograde, with that fog kind of being mostly September, October at the maximum. My point is, the stuff we're seeing in with Venus being, the coast is clear for Venus, that sort of underlines the numerology of the number 6 here being tied to Venus. And I don't know if Masaki may have touched on this too, with talking about the number 6 year. So I don't know if he mentioned that the Venus was direct all year, but I got written here, Venus retrograde around the time of mean node shift. So yeah, the other thing that's interesting with this is the true node Taurus was January 18th, but the mean node Taurus shift was a few weeks before that or something. Maybe around December 23rd. Let me double check my notes. What do we got here? December 23rd. North Node leaves Gemini, enters Taurus. Yes, I was correct. And so basically, there were, without going into some of the events that I personally saw on the ground, just at the store and stuff like that, that would lead me to believe that this was a sign of this shift from Gemini to Taurus for the North Node. Okay, that was pretty wordy. Hold on, let me just let me just move this in more. Alright, so I know Misaki did mention the number 6 year is tied to Venus. And he probably did also mention that the true node being Taurus, that Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So so it's interesting that hold on, what do I have here? That the what we said. So we said we got the North Node ruled by Venus. That's Taurus, the North Node Taurus, that's ruled by Venus, just like the number 6 energy in general is tied to Venus. So that's like two things in the year that are sort of the same, that are sort of like, resonating with each other. And I mean, just the fact that Taurus is Earth, that's also amplifying that whole Capricorn stellium, right? That's also making it, what I said earlier about too much Capricorn, that's kind of adding to that problem in a way. But also, it's about how you look at it. Like I said, it's also the truckers themselves being stubborn enough to hold on to practicality and so. But there was that. There's these two things with the Venus being the ruler of what the true node is in, and with the numerology of that year, 2022, being tied to Venus, and then this sort of mirrors what Misaki said about the 2021. You had a lot of that be Gemini North Node, and with that you had that year 2 + 0 + 2 + 1 for that 2021. That's a number 5 year, and so that's what I said earlier about that he was bouncing all around. So he was talking about how you have that juggling aspect of it. With that, because of that number 5 year being tied to Mercury, which rules Gemini. So you had the North Node Gemini, also Mercury being in Mercury also ruling Gemini, and also ruling Virgo, right? So this is the other thing that I wanted to say, and I guess I didn't get too much into some of the developments on the ground. That's kind of what I started off this. We're like 48 minutes here into it, and I haven't even mentioned any of the stuff that's been happening. It's crazy, man. Like it's all over the world. People are doing these trucker protests. Like, just as a side note, right now, like you have in Canberra, in Australia there, and you also have in Paris, in France, they're doing the trucker thing, and also the Netherlands, I believe it was. Let me see this. Hold on, let me double check. So, hold on. profile and likes. Yes, okay, let's find out. Yeah, that was, yes, the Netherlands. So 23 hours ago, footage of truckers in the Netherlands doing this. You can see that on my Twitter. There's anti-vaccine protesters, or at least that's what someone labeled them, in New Zealand. And so yeah, there's a lot of developments as we speak. And just and I'll get back to what I was saying here, but just while we're on this, also yesterday morning, you had articles like from the BBC here: Freedom Convoy, U.S. offers Canada support to end truck protest. So, yeah. So there's been a lot of things moving fast. At some point too, like they said there was that. Like I said, I got there before the injunction of don't honk your horns. I got there on the 1st of the month. But a few days after that, or whatever it was, they said don't honk your horns, and then eventually they said something like, that you can't like give fuel to everybody knows that now, that's old news, but you can't give fuel to the truckers, and then all these people went out with just gas canisters filled with water and stuff like that. So at one point, the $10 million was stolen from GoFundMe that was directed towards them from these from people who wanted to support the truckers via GoFundMe, and then eventually. Apparently they ended up raising $1 or $2 or $3 or whatever $1 million it was in like a day or two elsewhere, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. And I don't know what happened with that. I mean, I feel like it's been back and forth with that kind of thing. But yeah, there's been a lot going on, and so my point is, we kind of could have been forgiven, going back to what with the numerology and stuff, like we kind of could have been forgiven in 2021 for not being as on the ball, because there's that juggling thing, but and also because that window at the start of the year wasn't as long for the clarity period there. Because I remember that time too. I remember February 14th, there was another protest that I went to, anti-lockdown protest in February 14th, 2021. And so there was like kind of a breath of fresh air kind of quality to that thing. And, but yeah, with that Gemini energy of 2021, it's really easy to succumb to the ADD thing. And then when you have a lot of the year